A long, long time ago, in the heart of Yemen, there ruled a proud and ambitious king, a ruler known as Abraha. He was a very powerful man, and his ego was even bigger. To show off his power and influence, he started a huge project. He built a magnificent church, decorated grandly with shining gold and precious jewels, a testament to his wealth and power. He saw it as the most famous place of worship, a light that would attract people from far and wide. But his ambition was soon challenged when he heard about the Kaaba in Mecca, a simple, cube-shaped house. Yet it was deeply loved and respected by people from all corners of Arabia. Pilgrims flocked to it every year. The Kaaba's importance wasn't in its physical beauty or grandeur, but in its spiritual essence because it was built entirely for the worship of Allah, the one true God. Abraha, filled with pride and envy, became very jealous. He desperately wanted everyone to abandon the Kaaba and come to his magnificent church instead. His pride, wounded and provoked, quickly turned into uncontrolled rage. His anger grew even more when he realized that despite his efforts, people were still steadfastly traveling to the Kaaba. Determined to establish his dominance and make his church the undisputed center of worship, Abraha, blinded by his ambition, devised a terrible and destructive plan. He would march on Mecca and completely destroy the Kaaba. He called upon his strongest, most loyal soldiers and his most experienced commanders. "We will march towards Mecca with unwavering resolve, and tear down their sacred house brick by brick," he declared with passionate conviction. Abraha foolishly thought that if the Kaaba was turned into rubble, people would have no choice but to come and worship in his church, fulfilling his selfish desires. His heart was completely filled with arrogance and a thirst for power, which blinded him to the true spiritual reason why the Kaaba was so beloved. He failed to understand that the Kaaba's true strength wasn't in its physical structure, but in the divine protection bestowed upon it by Allah, not in the strength of its simple stone walls. With unwavering resolve, Abraha's mind was firmly set, and his formidable army began diligently preparing for the long and difficult journey ahead. The fate of Mecca, its people, and the sacred Kaaba now hung in the balance, teetering towards destruction. Little did Abraha know he had no idea what divinely destined events awaited him and his army. His daring plan was about to start a story that would be forever written in the pages of history and always remembered. And so, the fateful journey to Mecca had begun, holding the seeds of an unforgettable clash. Abraha's army was like no other. It was a huge show of power and big plans marching across the desert. He brought elephants, which were very big and strong animals, unlike any seen in this part of the world before. These were huge, powerful animals, each one a moving fortress that could crush anything in its path. Their presence scared everyone, filling people with great fear and helplessness. The biggest elephant, Mahmud, who was a giant among elephants, was chosen to attack the Kaaba, a sign of Abraha's pride and determination. Thousands of soldiers, a large group of men in armor, horses, and all the weapons of war were with the elephants. This powerful army was moving from Yemen towards Mecca. The ground shook under their weight. As they moved forward, the earth trembled, which was proof of their immense power. News of the approaching army spread quickly, carried by fast messengers. This caused fear in towns and villages, casting a dark shadow over the whole area. Along the way, Abraha's men took supplies and looted things to feed their large army. They even took a herd of Abdul Muttalib's camels, which was a big loss. Abdul Muttalib was a respected leader of Mecca, a man of great influence and standing. The people of Mecca felt the danger was close, their city was in immediate peril. Abraha's army finally stopped just outside the city, a clear sign of his hostile intentions. Their presence was overwhelming, a clear reminder of the city's weakness. Abraha sent a message, a carefully planned announcement of his intentions. "I haven't come to fight you, only to destroy your house of worship, the Kaaba. Don't resist, and you won't be harmed," he promised, which was an empty assurance. The people of Mecca were scared, their hearts filled with dread. They knew they couldn't stand against such a huge force. Their defenses were not enough. Seeing the elephants and soldiers filled their hearts with fear, a terrifying warning of what was to come. Abraha was completely sure of victory. His confidence bordered on arrogance. He believed no one could stop him. His greed kept him from seeing any difficulties. The city prepared for what seemed unavoidable, sadly accepting their fate. The Kaaba's fate seemed sealed. Its destruction seemed certain. But the people of Mecca still had hope. They held on to their faith despite such huge odds. They knew the Kaaba was not just a building. It was more than just stone and mortar. It was the house of Allah, a sacred sanctuary. Its true protection was yet to be revealed, a divine help was awaited. The stage was set for a battle like never before, a battle between worldly power and divine will. The world watched with bated breath as Abraham prepared to attack, ready to unleash his wrath on the holy city. The people of Mecca saw Abraham's army and knew they had no chance. They were merchants, not warriors, and they were few in number. Facing elephants and thousands of soldiers was impossible. The leaders gathered and made a painful decision. They could not defend the Kaaba by force. To protect their families, they told everyone to leave the city and find safety in the nearby mountains. With heavy hearts, people climbed the rocky slopes looking back at their beloved Kaaba. They prayed, trusting in Allah to protect His house. From the mountains, they watched and waited, hoping for a miracle. The city was quiet. The Kaaba stood alone in the valley. The people's faith was their only shield. They were sure that Allah would protect what was sacred. Now they could only pray and watch. The Kaaba's fate was in Allah's hands. As people ran away, Abdul Muttalib, the leader of Mecca, went to Abraham's camp. He didn't beg for the city or even for the Kaaba, he just asked for his camels back. Abraham was surprised. "You only care about your camels, not your holy house." Abdul Muttalib calmly replied, "I am responsible for my camels. The Kaaba has its own owner who will protect it." His words showed deep faith in Allah's power. Abraham returned the camels, but he made fun of the idea that anyone could save the Kaaba from him. Abdul Muttalib returned to Mecca, prayed at the Kaaba, and joined his people in the mountains. He asked Allah to protect his house and those who served it. With peace in his heart, he waited for Allah's will. Abdul Muttalib's faith was strong. He knew that true protection comes from faith, not from weapons. The people of Mecca watched, their hope resting only on Allah. The city was quiet. The Kaaba stood in the middle, waiting for its fate. Abraham's army was getting ready for the final attack, but something special was about to happen. The power of faith was about to be shown. As the first rays of dawn stretched across the sky, Abraham, trusting in his massive army, gave the command to attack. The soldiers, a sea of men and weapons, began to move forward, their eyes fixed on the holy city. Leading the charge was Abraham himself, riding a giant war elephant named Mahmud, whose strength and size were immense. This colossal beast was meant to tear down the Kaaba. But as they reached the outskirts of Mecca, something strange happened. Mahmud, the mighty elephant, suddenly knelt down and refused to move forward. It was as if an unseen force was stopping him from advancing towards the Kaaba, the sacred house of worship. The soldiers, confused and frustrated, tried everything they could to budge the elephant. They pulled, pushed, and even hit the animal, but no amount of force could make the elephant move an inch. Yet if they turned Mahmud away from Mecca, the giant beast would walk easily in any other direction, as if freed by magic. As the frustrated soldiers continued their efforts, a dark and ominous cloud began to form in the sky above them. A heaviness hung in the air. But this was no ordinary weather event. It wasn't a cloud at all, but a massive flock of birds, a winged army sent by Allah. Each bird carried 3 small stones of baked clay in its beak or talons, each stone a tiny weapon of divine punishment. The birds flew in a precise and organized formation, darkening the sky like a living carpet, positioning themselves directly above Abraham's unsuspecting army. The people of Mecca, who had taken refuge in the nearby mountains, watched the scene unfold before their eyes with a mix of wonder and fear. The sky grew even darker as the birds began to descend, swooping down upon the army like a storm of vengeance. The soldiers below, at first confused by the strange sight, quickly became terrified as they understood the birds' intention. Then, the birds began to release their cargo, dropping the small stones of baked clay onto the army below. These were no ordinary stones, they were filled with a divine power, a sign of Allah's intervention and His protection of the Kaaba. The mighty army, which had come to destroy the Kaaba, trusting in its strength and numbers, was about to face a power they had never imagined. The prayers of the people of Mecca, made with sincerity and desperation, were about to be answered in a most dramatic way. Their prayers were being answered in a way that defied all expectations, a miracle unfolding before their very eyes. The fate of the Kaaba, the sacred site, would not be decided by the might of men or the strength of armies. It would be determined only by the divine will of Allah, the all-powerful and all-knowing. The miracle, a testament to faith and divine power, was about to happen, changing the course of history forever. The birds dropped their stones, and chaos broke out in Abraham's army. The The small stones hit very hard, piercing through armor and causing panic. Soldiers and elephants fell, unable to defend themselves. A once powerful army was destroyed in moments. Elephants started running everywhere, trampling soldiers in their panic. Abraham himself was wounded and fled, wounded and scared. His pride was gone, replaced by fear and regret. The army that was threatening the Kaaba was destroyed by Allah's smallest creatures. Abraham's journey home was full of hardship. He died a broken man. The valley was quiet, the threat was gone. The Kaaba stood unharmed, proof of Allah's power. This story spread far and wide, a lesson for those who challenge Allah's will. In the Quran, the army is described as like eaten straw, completely destroyed. No force on earth could stand against Allah's command. This miracle of the birds will never be forgotten. After Abraham's army left, the people of Mecca returned to their city. They found the Kaaba just as it was, standing strong in the middle of Mecca. Their hearts were full of gratitude and faith. This event became known as the Year of the Elephant, the same year Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born. This story was told for generations, reminding everyone of Allah's protection. In the Quran, Surah Al-Fil remembers this miracle. Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with the owners of the elephant? The Kaaba is safe, and millions visit it every year. The lesson is this: true strength comes from faith, not from armies. No matter how big the threat, Allah is the best protector. The story of the Year of the Elephant brings hope and trust in Allah. He protected his house back then, and He always protects His believers. The Kaaba stands as a symbol of faith, always safe by Allah's will.